Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 17 of Diehlman at Halftime, the NBA podcast that tops all others. I'm your host, Larry Diehlman. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome aboard, and if you've been a loyal listener, welcome back. We have much to get to today and not a lot of time to do it. We have a few sections that we will get into, but it might not be the normal ones that you're used to. Let's get to our content for the week, and I do apologize if I sound a little weird today. I am under the weather, but we are going forward with the episode anyway. There was some breaking news out of Charlotte on Monday morning. Hornets president of basketball operations Mitch Kupchak is stepping down to become an organizational advisor. The Hornets apparently want to hire a new president of basketball operations before the end of the regular season. There are some candidates already expected to be considered, including general managers from the Pelicans, Nets, Cavs, Sixers, and more. Also, Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors is back in the news again. Surprise, surprise. He was trash-talking Phoenix's Jusuf Nurkic on Saturday, and remember, Green was suspended last time for clocking Nurkic. Nurkic said, quote, "It's sad. He didn't learn anything from the mandated counseling, if you remember. It's just a matter of time. He's going to knock somebody else again. I take everything back what I said. He doesn't deserve a chance." Yikes. As we get closer to the All-Star break, we can start bracing for the second half of the NBA season. But first, this week's Diehlman at Halftime is a special edition. Instead of our usual highlight, lowlight, random stat, and game of the week, we will dive into the top 5 trades of this past Thursday's deadline. Before my analysis, however, I threw in an honorable mention. The trades are in reverse order from pretty good to super important. This episode is entitled Highways and Byways. So, who's raising eyebrows at the moment? Let's go to our honorable mention. For our honorable mention, this isn't a trade necessarily, but it's an indirect move. After being traded to the Toronto Raptors and then being waived, Spencer Dinwiddie was picked up by the LA Lakers on waivers. Dinwiddie has been a starter for most of his career, and he was providing 12 points and 6 assists per game in Brooklyn before his departure. The only thing that might be of concern is that Dinwiddie's 39.1% field goal percentage is literally the worst in the NBA this season. Even if the Lakers didn't make any trades, they can still view this as a win. All right, let's go to our number 5 trade, and for each of the trades, we have a title for each of them. So here we go. Number 5, going home. After a season and a half with the Utah Jazz, Kelly Olynyk along with Ochai Agbaji were shipped to the Toronto Raptors for Kira Lewis Jr., Otto Porter Jr., and a first-round pick. Olynyk is a Toronto native, and he's been putting up career shooting numbers and assists per game this season. He and Agbaji should fit in well off the bench with the rebuilding Raptors. Meanwhile, Utah gets a role player in Porter and an up-and-coming player in Lewis. Lewis played a grand total of, get ready for this one, 2 minutes with Toronto after being acquired in the Pascal Siakam trade. This trade screams of low risk, decent reward for both sides. Let's go to our number 4 trade. Get Luka some help. We all remember what happened to the Dallas Mavericks last year when Kyrie Irving arrived at the trade deadline. In case you don't remember, the Mavs went from a contender to missing the playoffs entirely. Yes, they even missed the play-in tournament. Dallas beefed up their front court this season, sending Richaun Holmes and a draft pick to Washington for starting center Daniel Gafford. They also sent Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a first-round pick to Charlotte for P.J. Washington and 2 second-round picks. Gafford is averaging career highs across the board, including 2.2 blocks per night in 26 minutes. Washington is a scorer who can give you between 10 to 15 points per game. Not having to rely on just Luka Doncic and Irving to take on a heavy load will be huge when the playoffs approach and when the playoffs are in full swing. Coming in at number 3, veteran leadership. The Oklahoma City Thunder went out and got a veteran at the deadline. The Charlotte Hornets traded away Gordon Hayward for Davis Bertans, Trey Mann, Vasilije Micic, 2 second-round picks, and cash considerations. Hayward, a former All-Star, was a starter for Charlotte for 3.5 seasons. This was after an underwhelming tenure in Boston after he broke his leg in 2017. While I'm not sure if Hayward is going to be a starter with the Thunder or get 32 minutes a night like in Charlotte, having someone like Hayward around Oklahoma City's young core should help in the long run. He's an unrestricted free agent this summer, so if things don't work out, they can just let the contract expire. As we discussed in the last section with the Hornets, they are dumping assets in a clearance sale. Getting a load of draft picks and role players that may or may not see the court is their best idea yet. The 11-41 Hornets are not making the playoffs, so they can just look to next season. Let's go to our number 2 trade, the Sixers fire sale. With Joel Embiid being out for an extended period of time, the Philadelphia 76ers got busy on Thursday. Marcus Morris, Furkan Korkmaz, Patrick Beverley, Daniel House, and Jaden Springer were all handed a one-way ticket out of the city of brotherly love. Second-round picks were flying around in these trades, but the Sixers received sharpshooter Buddy Hield from Indiana and backup point guard Cam Payne from Milwaukee. Morris will most likely be bought out by San Antonio. Korkmaz was waived by Indiana, as was House by Detroit. Beverley went to the Bucks to reunite with Doc Rivers, and Springer was sent to Boston. With the exception of Springer, those 4 other players were on expiring contracts. Philadelphia was just trying to get some compensation for them. However, could this also clear some cap space for the 76ers to chase players in free agency this summer? According to NBA insider Chris Haynes, Philadelphia could be a landing spot for Paul George if the Clippers can't extend him. While these are good moves for the Sixers, if Embiid is out for the season, their season is over. Finally, let's go to our top trade from this past week's trade deadline, the city that never sleeps. Coming in at number 1 is the highway robbery the New York Knicks pulled off. The Knicks acquired Bojan Bogdanović and Alec Burks from the Detroit Pistons in exchange for Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, and 2 second-round picks. Flynn and Fournier don't even play, so they were just fillers in this trade, and Flynn just got to New York a few months ago in the OG Anunoby acquisition. And you know what's even funnier? Fournier came out not too long ago and said that he's happy to be out of New York, so take that for what you will. Burks is a good shooter off the bench. Bogdanović can still drop 20 a night despite him being close to his 35th birthday. He was a starter for the lowly Pistons. New York is low-key building a solid roster for a deep playoff run. They parted with R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley earlier in the season, but Anunoby, Bogdanović, and Burks are great players to add to the already great rotation. While Burks is on an expiring deal, Anunoby has a player option for next year, and Bogdanović has another year. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Anunoby, and Bogdanović are a scary group. They are by no means favorites to win the NBA championship. However, the Eastern Conference Finals might not be too far out of reach. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on social media. I have 2 Twitter accounts and 2 Instagram accounts. The podcast accounts are under @Diehlman_NBA for both Twitter and Instagram. My personal Twitter is at LarryDiehlman18, and my personal Instagram is at Mr_Sports18. They're also in the description on SoundCloud. And if you enjoyed this special edition of Diehlman at Halftime, make sure to tune in next week for another one. And don't forget to spread the word about Diehlman at Halftime. See you next time, fellow Hoops fans.